Now, as I promised you earlier in the overview section, we're going to talk about the motion to compel. Let's say that you've done any of the discovery techniques, really including depositions, but the interrogatories or the admissions or the production request, and they respond inappropriately. And normally what they do, like for instance on the interrogatories, is going to say, this request is overbroad. We refuse to, really? Now if you ask them to produce all their mortgages ever for the past 30 years, then yeah, that's overbroad. That's not relevant to your case. But if the question is relevant, and for the most part, the questions that we have in the interrogatories and production requests, those are relevant questions. And if they come back and 90% of their responses is overbroad, that's something you need to call them on because it's just not appropriate. And so the way that you call them on is a motion to compel. And what you're saying is you want the judge to order them to answer the questions. And the way that you do is you do the motion to compel. Look at the sample motion to compel, and you can kind of draft your own, but and you might want to be very specific and say, look, in questions 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, and 20, they said overbroad. These are not overbroad. Here's what we really wanted. Again, just kind of follow the example, and you can put your motion to compel together. You do the motion to compel just like any other pleading. You file it with the court. You file it, with the attorneys, and then in this case, you might actually want to set up the hearing because you actually want to get in front of the judge and have them give you the right answers. Since we didn't talk about setting up a hearing in the motion to dismiss because I didn't want you to, in this case you might want to force them to come up with the responses, because it might be the reason they're not coming up with responses because they don't have the documents. That could be why. And so we're going to want to find that out. And so to set up a hearing, and it depends on the county that you're in, because some counties they want you to do it online, others you do it directly with the judicial assistant. So what I would do is just call the judicial assistant, find out who the judge is for your case, call the judicial assistant and ask, say, look, you know what, I filed this motion to compel, how do I set up a hearing on it? And what they're going to say is, look, we have these dates available and these times, and they're going to want you to coordinate it with the plaintiff's attorney. So then you're going to have to call the plaintiff's attorney and say, hey, I have these dates available, when is it appropriate? You can also try it by email. Attorneys are generally better about responding by email, and they will have given their email in the case so you can do this. So either way, call them up or email them, and then schedule the hearing. And then you go to the hearing. And it's very similar to the other hearings that we talked about with the motion to dismiss. It's either going to be in the courtroom or it's going to be in the judge's chambers. Probably in the judge's chambers, but it could be in both. And then you go in and just tell the judge what's going on. Judge, I did this discovery request and they didn't respond. Look what they said. Here's what I asked them. Here's what they said. And the judge is going to look at it and they're going to look at them. They're going to say, come on, answer the questions. And then that's kind of how it's going to go. Or they're going to say, you know what, why is it relevant? Well, why is the promissory note relevant? Well, why do you think? So that's, and if you call them on that, they're probably just going to go ahead and respond to you. All right. So that's kind of the overview and the meat of the motion to compel. Again, don't do the motion to compel if they're not responding, unless it's the request for admissions when you want to get them because it's 30 days. But if it's the interrogatories or the production request, let them take as long as they want. Don't force them to do that. It's only if they come back with goofy answers that you want to do the motion to compel. Okay? All right. Good luck with that.